Good evening, Graham Rawlins with our Friday edition of News Geelong. Timor-Leste is another Geelong presence in its districts as a Geelong squad of Army reservists has joined the United Nations Stabilisation Force, assisting with peacekeeping duties in conjunction with the recent elections. Barrett Burston, the leading Australian Malteser, has joined forces with the Victorian Government to unveil a $2.4 million state-of-the-art water treatment and recycling plant. From the world of Geelong sport, Mitch Scoop Cleary brings you the latest sports news, while from the weather world, we'll present Geelong and the Surf Coast area weather forecast expected over the next 6 days. Leading Geelong maltster Barrett Burston announced this week the start of operations of its state-of-the-art water treatment and recycling plant. The Advanced Waster Master Treatment Plant is treating around 500,000 megalitres of wastewater each day, reducing the Barrett Burston plant's reliance on Geelong's mains water by up to 135 megalitres of water each year, and the discharge of trade wastewater by around 140 megalitres per year. News Geelong spoke with the Victorian Minister for Water, Peter Walsh, and Geelong Mayor John Mitchell at the announcement.
It's a pleasure to be here to officially open the wastewater treatment plant. So now 135 megalitres less of potable water having to come into the plant to do the great job they do in producing malt, and there's 140 megalitres less of trade waste actually goes out in the trade waste stream. So a win-win. A great project, $1 million from the state government, $1.5 million effectively from Barrett Burston for a $2.5 million project. The drought was a salutary lesson for all of us, and the likes of the projects we see behind us are the projects that can be done with industry, but equally at the household level. I think all people across Victoria are a lot more conscious of their water use now, and a lot more careful how they use water. It's an interesting one with Melbourne that there's actually more water runs off the roofs and streets of Melbourne in a year than Melbourne actually consumes, and that's the same for a lot of cities, because you increase the impervious surface as you build a city. We need to harness that water for non-potable purposes, so you actually save your potable supplies for human consumption.
And Barrett Burston has certainly set the pace, and it's great to see an industry that not a lot of people in Geelong know about, really setting the pace and making these positive steps forward in relation to saving water and also part of the environment.
Well, what you're seeing here is a company that is one of the top 10 water users in Bowen Water's business footprint, and have made a significant contribution to reducing that demand on water, which is an absolute credit to them. The water that's being saved here would supply 450 households for a year, so major change for their operation, and a contribution from the state government to do that.
There's no doubt that the drought has made people think differently about how they go about things, and innovations with water is certainly one of those things that we've done very, very well here in Geelong. Barrett Burston's, will basically save themselves $400,000 a year, and a huge amount of water, which certainly helps Geelong. Potable water is an issue, or has been an issue in the past. It's certainly not an issue now, but some of the things that we've put in with stormwater harvesting and the like has certainly allowed us to reuse our water, thus taking the pressure off potable water.
And Barrett Burston, an industry here in Geelong, a malting industry, with 40% of their malt going into local product here in Australia and 60% being exported.
It's companies like this that just sort of sit out here and no one knows a great deal about, but they employ a lot of people, and they've been here for many, many years, and are doing a great job, and they're very, very innovative.
Thank you, Peter and John, and congratulations to Barrett Burston for the outstanding water recycling treatment plant. News Geelong has presented many stories from the Torquay Surf World Museum. Now the journey has taken another significant step forward, as Surf World has now been fully accredited as a museum under the state classification, joining 45 other museums in the state. Ian Nichols has more.
Well, here we are again at the Surf World Museum in Torquay, a red letter day for them because they now have official museum accreditation. And that means a lot to them. Years of hard work and, of course, a greater status in life. And I'm right in front of the Blue Beast here, just one of the many exhibits. We're going to talk also about something very special with the museum curator, Craig Baird. Well, we're speaking with the curator of the Surf World Museum, Craig Baird. And congratulations, Craig, to all involved. You now have full accreditation. You are a brand new museum here in the state of Victoria.
Thank you, Ian. It's a great honour for us to be an accredited museum. It's represented a number of years of hard work and puts us in a fairly elite company. There's only 48 museums Victoria-wide that are accredited out of something like 780 galleries and museums statewide.
Well, we've seen this grow over the months and the years, in fact, since News Geelong has been down here many, many times, and there's always something brand new, and I can't help but be absolutely attracted to this jet board that you're leaning on at the moment, your latest and greatest acquisition.
Yeah, it was a really cool thing. A collector rang us some time ago that had the board, and he's since donated the board to the museum. It's a fantastic thing and a great thing for him to have done. And it represents a fairly unique piece of surfing equipment and an alignment between maritime and aviation technology, if you like.
Yes, well, the motor is quite extraordinary. You say it's a McCulloch chainsaw motor.
It's a petrol-driven jet surfboard, basically, from the 1960s. In fact, it's called a jet board. They were manufactured in California, and I think I've only seen 4 of these in Australia, so they're a pretty rare beast.
Well, it's a really cool colour, real retro blue. It looks a bit like a Laminex kitchen setting we had back in the 60s, the colour anyway.
With the obligatory GT stripe up the middle, so it's a pretty cool thing, and we're stoked to have it on display here at the museum.
At the Surf World Museum here in Torquay, this is Ian Nichols for News Geelong.
Thank you, Ian, and well done to the Torquay Surf World Museum. Geelong has been well represented at the current 2012 London Olympics, as News Geelong spoke with the City of Greater Geelong Mayor John Mitchell regarding our city's Olympic pride.
Josh Dunkley-Smith at the Olympics, couldn't let you go without mentioning him. A great performance in the rowing, but more particularly, you were his swimming teacher.
Yeah, I was swimming coach, not his teacher, but Josh is a fine young man, always worked very, very hard, and I knew when he went to college and the rowing team got hold of him, that'd be the end of his swimming career. But he had a lot of potential as a swimmer as well, but when I had him, he was like a big gangly giraffe, but a delightful young man, and always worked hard and deserves all the success he's got.
Now I'm going to put you on the spot. We mentioned on News Geelong recently when we did a survey or a review of the Geelong Olympians being represented over there in London, that maybe we're going to put on a mayoral civic reception when they return.
Oh, well, what we've got to do, we've got to understand is these people are professional, well, not professional athletes, but they are full-time athletes. So, I'm happy to have a civic reception for them, but we've got to understand that some of them train, some of them are overseas, some of them are here and there. So we'll put on a civic reception. If we can't get them all there, we've got to understand that they have other things to do. But certainly the city's very, very proud, and we bathe in their reflected glory. So, but we've got to think, as an old swim coach, we've got to think of the athlete first.
Not so much to the old, John. I mean, you're still very active in it, but the 8 Geelong athletes that have been involved have done us all proud.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Just to make the Olympics, the Olympic team is a huge, huge honour, and there's no doubt that they have represented as well, and put Geelong's name forward once again. But as I said, we can bathe in their reflected glory. It's all the hard work that they, their coaches, their families have done that produce the results that we've got.
Thank you, John. As we go to a break on this Friday edition of News Geelong, join our 377 and growing number of followers on Twitter at NewsGeelong31, and join our network with your thoughts and comments, including suggested items to cover on the program, and also on Facebook, www.facebook.com/NewsGeelong31. You can use both or either of these tools to also comment and support us with our Use It or Lose It campaign. We'll return with more news after this.